يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان والروح والريحان. يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان.
أنفسنا من سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending immense greetings and salutations upon the final Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, we find in the world that we live in, or the journey of the human being is full of various trials and obstacles. We find, unfortunately, sometimes for some of us Muslims, we can't seem to face the challenges or overcome the challenges that all human beings that they face. And sometimes even amongst non-Muslims we find some form of inspiration that they focus inside their lives and what they want to achieve. And we begin to lose focus. And the Quran to a certain degree praises them, that they go through certain afflictions and hardships and they persevere, they continue. فَإِنَّهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ كَمَا تَعْلَمُونَ. They face adversities and pain and anguish and difficulties just like you face them. They bear these pains. The distinction comes whereby then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions وَتَرْجُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَرْجُونَ. The aspiration that we have for is different from their aspirations. Their aspirations are worldly aspirations of gaining prestige and honor and rank in this dunya. So their struggle becomes the all end of this world. يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. The only thing they know is about this world. And then once again Allah praises them here and then defames them. That these individuals يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. As for the hereafter, they're heedless individuals. There's no share for these individuals inside the hereafter. But they persevere. They continue their struggle, they continue their journey. Nothing remains constant upon this earth. Sunnat Allah al-ard. Even inside the akhirah, the change is always there. But why do so many of us, or some of us Muslims, we cannot embrace that journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We cannot overcome the struggles on the face of this earth, whereby you find Muslims beginning to complain about depression, about being upset, of being lost, of being astray, losing hope inside al-akhirah, losing hope towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah forbid going towards atheism, rejection of belief, rejection, or such words, kalimat, that we find amongst some of us Muslims, that why am I suffering? If Allah is Ghafoor Rahim, why am I going through this hardship, this difficulty? Here we're not speaking about non-Muslims, we're speaking about us, our own Muslims. These can be classified as words of kufr, words of disbelief, questioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that why am I going through this inside my life? The Quran begins by mentioning that this is the book لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب. The whole book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins guidance for the pious individuals, for those who believe in the unseen. If everything was given to the believers, the Muslims on the face of this earth, there would be no point in beginning the Quran, belief in the unseen. Because the struggle on this dunya, the perseverance leads to gaining the unseen. And that's the Quran, it mentions, or prior to that, before we mention that, in the struggles that we find based upon this earth, the more that you polish gold, the more it shines. The more that you heat gold, the more purified it becomes. That's why even from the word fitna, I find it contains the trials and tribulations of heat and difficulty. The more you burn gold, the more purified it becomes in substance. The more you polish a diamond, the more it sparkles, it shines. The more you test a believer, the more powerful, the more stronger their iman becomes. That's Allah mentioned at the beginning of Surah Al-Ankabut, the 29th chapter of the Quran. Alif Lam Mim, حسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. Allah mentions inside this 29th, beginning 29th chapter of the Quran, 29th surah of the Quran, do people perceive to say that we believe and they won't be tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Indeed, we did test those people that came before you, and we're going to test you as well. So Allah may ascertain those who are the truthful individuals and those who are the liars. That's what this dunya is. Allah wants to purify, to find out who really believes in me. قَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَّا. Bedouin Arabs said that we believe. Quran rebukes them, say you haven't believed. Just say that you've submitted. Because Iman is a deeper journey of conviction, of acceptance, total submission to whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lays out in the path of the individual. And that's these difficulties that we find. Allah mentions وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. We're going to test you. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ. There's some aspects, Allah doesn't say it all the time. Sometimes there's going to be some tests inside your life. A loss of your fruits, your wealth, your children, your own selves. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Give glad tidings to those individuals. When affliction befalls them, they say, to Allah we belong and to Allah we return. Those are the tests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to bring out forth those individuals who really believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see on the face of this earth. Even difficulties for the prophets. In the same surah inside Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah mentioned, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَأْتِيكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ وَزُلْزِلُوا. Has not the parable come? Do you perceive? أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ. Do you think you're just going to stroll into paradise? You're just going to walk into paradise? That's what many of us Muslims, we perceive that by default, I'm a Muslim, I'll go to Jannah. That's partially true. Every single Muslim will go to Jannah. But eventually, there's going to be sadly some Muslims who are going to be punished, who are going to be tortured, who are going to be brought forth to accountability. That's a person should pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that save me. Because مَنْ نُوقِشَ قَدْ عُذِّبَ. Whoever is asked about their life, questioned in great detail about their life, then that is going to be a sign of a person being punished inside al-akhirah. That's the whole of the journey of what is classified as Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, is searching of pristine faith, orthodox faith, orthodox actions to find the swiftest and the quickest way to Jannah. Not via khurafat, by interpreted texts and bid'at and innovations and following myths and tales and fables and cultural practices. It's about finding the swiftest path to paradise with the right belief, but coupling that belief with righteous actions. That's throughout the Quran you find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions time and time again, those who believe وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, those who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and carry out righteous actions. You can't be a believer by just saying, I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and don't carry out the actions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala laid out or told us to do. So here even the Anbiya, the messengers, Allah mentions about them. They're going to be going through afflictions and hardships, وَزُلْزِلُوا, and the earth begins to shake underneath them, until eventually the messenger and those with him make this statement, مَتَى نَصْرُ اللَّهِ أَلَا إِنَّ نَصْرَ اللَّهِ قَرِيبٌ. When will the victory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala come? Indeed, the victory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is close by. That's what victory is. Victory is contentment within one's soul. وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. These are only days that we alternate, a day for them, a day for you. That's what this world is at the moment. 50 sana, 60 sana, 100 sana, 50 years, 60 years, say 100 years, alternation. But the believer is always victorious. Is always victorious in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The believer leaves this world. The believer is rejoicing, because now they're going to meet, the Lord meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the efforts upon this earth. Allah doesn't let it go to waste. Allah mentions that the actions of the believers never ever go to waste. That's why even speaking about remaining in Surah Al-Baqarah, Tahweel al-Qibla, the ayat speaking about the transformation of the direction of prayer. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ يُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. Allah will never let your iman go to waste. وَالْإِيمَانُ هُنَا بِمَعْنَى الصَّلَاةِ. Whether it be 16 or 18 months, various interpretation of books of Rasul al-Tafsir that we find in Ulum al-Quran. Whether it was 16 months or 18 months of praying in the opposite direction towards Bayt al-Maqdis, Allah will never let those actions go to waste, that prayer go to waste. Allah never lets anything of the believer go to waste. No believer should think anything minute has no value. As we find in talking about Shu'ab al-Iman, the 70 odd branches of faith that you find collected in various works of Imam al-Bayhaqi, the Shu'ab al-Iman collects and mentions Imatatul adha anit tariqi, removing a harmful obstacle from the path. A branch, a tree is a sign of Iman, is a symbol of Iman. The highest level being qawlu la ilaha illallah, statement of la ilaha illallah. Wa adna shay, the least being removing an obstacle away from the path. These are all branches of faith, of conviction and belief towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thus we find that the solution is fafirru ilallah. Some of us Muslims think to flee away. The answer is so simple inside the Quran. فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Flee, run towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does that mean? Flee towards the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Run towards it. To hold fast to it. Run towards the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salam. At-tamassuk bi-sunnati. That today more Muslims always asking these questions. Is the Quran and the sunnah applicable in the 21st century? In the modern world? In a modern city? In a modern environment? People, Muslims ask these questions day in and day out. The answer is there. At-tamassuk bi-sunnati wal-Qur'ani. Hold fast to the Quran, hold fast to the sunnah is the road of success. But because as we began with, our iman is weak, our faith is weak inside the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we think it's not applicable. It won't give us glory. It won't give us victory. If I hold fast to the sunnah of the Prophet, I may look like some strange individual inside society. فَطُوبَى لِلْغُرَبَى. طُوبَى لِلْغُرَبَى. Glad tidings to the strangers. وَطُوبَى قَدْ فُسِرَ أَمَّا الشَّجْرَ فِي الْجَنَّةِ وَحَظٌّ وَافِرٌ. Tuba is either a tree inside paradise, or it be immense treasures given to those individuals who are the strange individuals. Who are the strange individuals? They are those people who try to rectify what people have corrupted. Society is corrupt, people are corrupt, and they're trying to reconcile, trying to encourage people. That's what we Muslims should be, trying to reconcile inside society, be a symbol of the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam that we find. And as we find as many traditions that they mention. Al-qabid ala dini kal-qabid ala al-jamr. Times will come a person holding on to their deen, to their faith, will be like holding on to hot coals. A time will come, maybe that could be our time, because tests are different for every single individual. Some of us may feel it's a difficult time for me, a difficult environment I'm living in. So this could be your test. That hold fast to your faith. Just like you have to hold fast to hot coals. Preserve yourself, protect yourself. However, the glad tidings are there. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Indeed, after every hardship, there's ease. That's the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After every hardship, ease will come for the individual. And thus we find that those are the individuals who remain fast, steadfast. يثبت الله الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة. وقول ثابت قد فسر في تفسير إمام سعدي. قول ثابت هو قول لا إله إلا الله. Allah makes firm those individuals who have that conviction and belief that none has the right to be worshipped except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thus the Quran mentions فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Have knowledge that none has the right to be worshipped except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have that strong conviction within yourself. That's why we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our knowledge regarding the Creator, regarding our Sustainer, regarding our Master, well, da'if is weak. We know everything about everything else, we learn it, we follow it inside our lives. Amma to learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to learn about the Creator, because this is what strengthens Iman. That's why the Quran is said, people always ask the question, what is the best book of Tawheed? It's the Quran. Read the Quran, read the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Most of the Quran is very simple to understand, to relate to. Most of the Quran is always speaking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, encouraging faith, reminding us about Amma al-Akhirah, or about resurrection, or the return. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ ثُمَّ تُوَفَّى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا كَسَبَتْ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. Inside Surah Al-Baqarah, towards the end that we find, Imam Suyuti mentions as he works on Itqan fi Ulum al-Quran. This is classified as the final verse. The final verse sent down to the Prophet ﷺ. He only lived for some approximately 9 days. And if you look at the siyaq, the context of this ayat, prior to speaking about riba, after speaking about ayat today, the longest ayat in the Quran about loan and about debts. So even about the world, the Quran has this sunnah. Speaking about the world, Allah returns back towards al-akhirah. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ. Fear that day, you're going to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And no individual will be oppressed. No injustice will be done to any individual. Anything that could be taken away from this individual inside this dunya will be given back to the individual inside al-akhirah. Even more so will be given to the believers inside al-akhirah. وَقُولُوا قَوْلِ هَذَا وَأَسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهِ لِي وَلَكُمْ وَلِجَمِيعِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ فَاسْتَغْفِرُوهُ إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Amongst the most profound verses inside the Quran that we find, Allah mentions إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا. Those individuals who say that indeed our Lord is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ثم استقاموا, then they remain steadfast upon that. And there's a whole discussion about what is al-istiqamah that the ulama have mentioned. If you read a basic understanding, if you read Imam Nawawi's Riyadh al-Salihin, in his chapter speak about istiqamah, read inside there what is al-istiqamah, luzum ta'atillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, holding fast to obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is remaining steadfast. The daily rituals, the daily prayers, Salatul Fajr and Salatul Isha that we find, the most difficult for which type of individuals? Which type of individuals? For the hypocrites. It's difficult for them to come for Salatul Fajr, come for Salatul Isha. Prayer in congregation, prayer in Jama'ah that we find. For the men coming to the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are all symbols of faith, symbols of strength that we find. But when we belittle them, we think nothing of them. Then we complain about success. This is the path of success. If we can use such words, the daily grind of our work that we have, this is the daily grind of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Holding fast to the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah in an environment whereby we find, as we mentioned, such corruption and deviation, and people don't want to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People want to enjoy themselves. People don't want to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that the angels will descend upon these individuals. أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَبْشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. Don't fear, don't grieve. Glad tidings are given to you of Jannah, the promise that was given to you because of the actions you carried out upon this earth. نَحْنُ أَوْلِيَاءُكُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا فِي الْآخِرَةِ. We are your comrades, your friends, inside this world, inside the hereafter. What a glad tidings that is for those believing individuals who remain steadfast in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's to refresh our iman. Read Sahih Muslim. Obviously for many of us, we won't be able to read the whole of this collection, but read Kitab al-Iman, the beginning book, the book of chapter of Iman. But what is Iman? What is our faith? And then read towards the end, Kitab al-Jannah wa Sifatul Na'imiha wa Ahliha, the book of Jannah and the characteristics, descriptive nature of paradise and the people of paradise. For what purpose? Learn your faith, halawatul iman, sweetness of iman. What is iman? And look at the end result. If I hold fast to my faith, this is going to be the reward that's going to be given to me. And that's in summary. You find that a person, one small dip inside Jannah, and you will ask this individual, did any difficulty pass you in this life? Any adversity, any hardship inside your life, did you face it inside your life? One small dip inside Jannah. And this person will say no. Will forget everything. One small dip inside Jannah. And the opposite, for a disbelieving individual who enjoyed everything inside their life, one small dip inside Jahannam. And this person will be asked, did you enjoy anything inside your life? Did you have anything good inside your life? He will say no. He will say no, nothing, and I never enjoyed anything inside my life. But this is only going to be for those individuals who remain steadfast. That's why we find ways of remaining steadfast. أولا إقبال al-Quran, to come towards the Quran. Read the Quran, to study the Quran, to live by the Quran. That's what Imam Sufyan al-Thawri mentioned. وَاسْتَقِمْ كَمَا أُمِرْتَ. Remain steadfast, being told to do so is to remain steadfast upon the Quran. Remain focused, committed to the Quran. Have your share of reading the Quran, studying the Quran, understanding the Quran. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Why don't these people ponder over the Quran? Is there shackles or chains which have been placed upon their hearts? كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ مُبَارَكٌ لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ وَلِيَتَذَكَّرَ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. This is a blessed book that we sent down. لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ. You may ponder over its verses. Imam al-Hasan al-Basri mentioned, لِيُطَبِّقُ آيَاتِهِ means to implement the words of the Quran, to live according to the Quran. Imam Qurtubi mentioned a famous Mufassir, Andalusian Spanish Mufassir, finds a famous work, tafsir, that we find. If a king gives you a message, and you ignite that message, you read that message, and you just kiss it, and you place it, the parchment, on a high rank, and say, this is the message from our king, from our master, from our leader. This is a reverence and love that we give to his message. Another group of individuals, they also kiss the message. They also place it in a lofty place. They also give that love and respect to it. They adorn it. But at the same time, these individuals, they read that message and they carry out that message. فَبِاللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ. Who is the better obedient individuals towards the king? وَلِلَّهِ مَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. The highest example belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where are we from this showing this reverence? I'm not saying we shouldn't show reverence to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but that's all that some of us become. We don't ponder, we don't reflect. That's why you find Iqbal al-Quran makes a person become steadfast. And inside the Quran you find Qasasul Anbiya, stories of the prophets. Read them about the adversities, the hardships that they went through. Ibrahim alayhi salam, قالوا حرقوه وانصروا آلهتكم إن كنتم فاعلين. Burn him. Read Qasas al-Anbiya of Ibn Kathir, speaking about these ayat inside the Quran, about the hardships that Ibrahim alayhi salam went through. Inna Ibrahim kana ummatan qanitan lillahi hanifa. Allah mentions Ibrahim alayhi salam was one man but one ummah. That's how Allah describes Ibrahim alayhi salam. Likewise, Allah mentions about Ibrahim alayhi salam, we test him with kalimat فَأَتَمَّهُنْ. We test with so many kalimat. Al-kalimat huna bimana al-awamir. So many commandments Allah subhanahu gave to Ibrahim alayhi salam. He fulfilled all of them. And that's why we find, unfortunately, I hate to use such words. We have become dinun bila rijal. We become a way of life without men. وَهَؤُلَاءِ رِجَالٌ بِدُونِ دِينٍ. They're men without, as we began, without a faith. But they have a conviction. They have an end goal they want to achieve, they aspire to, and they work hard towards that. But they don't really have a faith. And we have a faith, but we don't want to aspire towards that. Likewise, we find that a person should be having sabr inside this path. And likewise, ways is dua ila Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give us ithbat, give us steadfastness. Keep us upon the straight path, because the Prophet he prayed, don't even leave me for a blinking of an eye. Imagine us today. Imagine us, a glimpse, just a small glimpse. Straight away we diverted away from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And likewise, fourthly, in conclusion, we find is dhikrullah, remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in secrecy and in open. And especially in secrecy, a person should have moments inside their life to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then another point, remaining steadfast, is ad-da'wa ila Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is to call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it strengthens one's faith, encourages one sees the community, sees the ummah. Remind one another, kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas ta'muruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhawna 'anil munkar. You're the best ummah ever raised up. The best people, you order the good and you forbid the evil. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the tawfiq and ability to remain steadfast upon His path, to die in a state of submission and steadfastness towards Allah and belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah wa malaikatu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا اغفر لنا لإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. ربنا أفرغ علينا الصبر وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. قوموا لصلاتكم يرحمكم الله.
يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان والروح والريحان. يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان.